Welcome back to Mud Lake Ranch, and if you're here to watch this video, you're having a similar problem or just want to have preventative knowledge of a problem that could exist in your bolt action rifle. So both of these rifles were having issues with the bolt being too stiff. This one was extremely stiff to operate, where it almost felt like there might be something obstructing the chamber, like possibly behind the locking lug, or that the bolt was just needed to be taken apart and cleaned, which didn't happen to be the case, so don't panic on this video just yet. And this gun also operated difficulty, but it wasn't stiffness, it was the bolt didn't want to lever down at the end of the cycle, and it didn't matter if you had ammunition in either one of them or not. So this one here is my go-to hunting rifle. Even though I have numerous new guns to choose from, I always take this beater out with me because I've used it and it's killed numerous deer over the years. And when this gun came over, so when this gun was brought over here to check out to see what might be wrong with it, I decided to do a quick video before I sent the owner of the gun on their way. And this gun, because it had a similar problem, I figured I would check them both out at the same time. So this one had been cleaned very well, this one had not. So this one I was determined early that it wasn't actually a cleanliness issue with the firearm. This one I wasn't sure. Before we get started, a little disclaimer for the YouTube: this is not a modification of a firearm. This is simply a common repair or maintenance situation on how to make the gun perform properly. So no modifications or alterations are taking place. This is routine maintenance for a firearm. Now let's get back to the video. So these are both Savage 110, but they do not share the same bolt. I tried to put this bolt into this gun and they aren't a match. This one is, I believe, slightly newer, maybe from the 90s. This one is from the 80s or earlier. Yeah, you're like, what, Jared, stop talking, get to the point. So this one was a really easy fix. So there's a couple things to check. First of all, you could clean the gun, could clean the bolt. Bolt disassembly, which we're not going to do today, can be a intimidating task, and I really didn't want to get into that. I'm not a gunsmith and just an avid hunter, shooter, and fan of all firearms. So both of these guns are clear. You got to turn the safety off to operate them. Always visually and manually inspect the firearm for ammunition before doing any cleaning or maintenance, but they both have been checked before the video, but I'll just double check to make sure for all of the keyboard warriors out there. So both are free of ammunition. Okay, so anyway, this gun here that doesn't belong to the channel was operating extremely stiff, and I could replicate that just by screwing up what was already screwed up. So on this one, the action screw was over tightened, and what that resulted in was the bolt, when you push it and try to turn it, it would close extremely hard. I mean, you had to really get on it, and it felt like extreme friction. All I did was loosen that screw up, tightened it back to the factory inch-pounds. This gun happens to be 40 inch-pounds, and the bolt operates easily and smoothly now. So besides cleanliness, besides the action screw, one other thing that you should check is if you've recently mounted a scope or if somebody else mounted a scope, the scope screws for the bases sometimes are too long, and that will prevent you from even putting the bolt in. So they could be too long and catch on the bolt. I had that occur very recently with a scope I mounted on that CVA behind me. So this one was action screw. This one had a unique problem. It's old and been used a lot, and when we got talking about the bolt disassembly, I really didn't want to get into disassembling this bolt. So let me remove it quick. This one was actually a bolt issue. So bolt disassembly requires you remove the bolt assembly screw. This bolt from this older Savage has a flat or common bit tip, so that one I was kind of panicking about being able to remove, and it turned out when I went to check this, it was not closing, almost like the bolt was too long, and it turned out that screw had actually loosened up on its own, extending the bolt handle slightly back so it wouldn't close easily. It was actually hitting part of the receiver where the bolt actually sets or rides when it's closed. So this was a really easy fix, but that also presented an opportunity where this is loose enough that I could disassemble and clean this bolt, which I'll do at another time. Some of you folks might be interested in how the bolt actually comes out of these firearms. These are both the same, and I'll go through that really quick. So this one, all I did was tighten the bolt assembly screw on the rear, and it closes perfectly now and rides very easily now. So in closing, I guess, so first you'd want to make sure the gun's clean, make sure there's nothing obstructing the lugs in the chamber. You'd want to make sure that your action screw is the appropriate depth or not over tightened. Very easy to over tighten that screw, and it can actually throw your accuracy off. If it's too loose or too tight, it changes the way the gun sets. You're messing with the barrel float in there. So this gun will need to be resighted in. That is my recommendation. Some of you out there might disagree, so feel free to comment with your knowledge on that. So before we get done, I'll just go over really quick how to remove and how to reinstall your bolt. First, you're going to line the bolt up the way that would sit normally. Their safety should be off, so in the off position, like ready to fire. You're going to press this lever down, bolt release lever, and it's on the top of the gun. Some of the guns will have a bolt release button in front of your trigger. Both of them are kind of a pain to operate. So push that down, you're going to pull your trigger, and then the bolt will slide right in. Take your finger off the trigger, take your finger off the bolt release lever, and the bolt is in place and will not easily remove. Return the gun to safe, and we are going to close this video out. So I found not much on this topic, and if you've ever experienced a stiff bolt with your bolt action rifle, it can be frustrating and worrisome. All of the fixes I described are extremely easy to fix. If you do not have a torque wrench, this one here is from Wheeler, and that's the one that I used for this project. So both these guns do need a cleaning now that hunting season is over, and now that we are in the depths of winter. Thank you for watching this episode of Mud Lake Ranch on what to do if you experience a stiff bolt in your bolt action rifle. These were specifically Savage, but this would apply to any bolt action rifle that is experiencing issues with the bolt function as far as being stiff or not operating as smoothly as you would expect. So first, start with cleaning. Second, check your action screw. Third, check your bolt. And if you have to, and make sure that if you've mounted a scope recently, make sure those screws aren't protruding to the other side in where the bolt actually rides. And finally, check the bolt screw. And if you have to disassemble the bolt, please refer to the owner's manual, and you might want to check with a gunsmith. If you've experienced an issue like this and this video was useful, helpful, or interesting, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe.